Salvete. So I'm going to switch up a few things here. In my video on Monday, I mentioned that so I didn't know that you had the field trip at that time. And I had mentioned wanting to work things out in order to be there for a live class on Thursday to finish your assessment. Well, your assessment's not going to be able to happen, at least not the way that I was originally planning for it. And some of you might have been a little confused knowing that you had a field trip. I did not know that you had a field trip at that point. So I guess in the first part of this video, I want to describe, okay, what's going to look differently about that. Okay. One good thing about a pilot is that you realize some things aren't going to work super well, and it's better to learn them in the pilot than when it's really happening. And so what you're looking at here is your rubric for your speaking assessment. Just did it a little differently. It was taking a little too long. I had tried to design the rubric so that it would kind of go quickly, and that wasn't happening. And so let's take a look at it. You have to do the exact same things. Your conversation with each other about the map is going to look exactly the same. It's just that the rubric is a little different, and I think this is going to work a little better. So what's going to happen is I can. So let's take a look at these in order. I can form questions using nay. So nay is what you would put on est, right? To ask, is it? Est ne brundisium insula? And if I observe that, then I'm going to check this box. The first time I observe it, I'm going to check this box. Okay? Oops. And if I observe it again, and I don't observe you using nay in the wrong way or failing to use nay to form a question, then I'm going to say, okay, they also did it consistently. And this is just so that I mark it, so that if I only observe it once, it's at least marked. But what I'm going to do is you're going to get the points for whichever box furthest to the right is checked. So this, I could erase this after the fact. I'm probably not going to. But I would give you 4 points. So this is 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. All right. I can form questions using ubi and other question words. So if I see one other question word, a question word with ubi, again, I'm going to check I observed it. But if you do it again and you don't fail to ask questions using question words, then I'm going to check the consistent box at the end. If you can respond to the questions your partner's asking you, same thing. First time your partner asks you a question and you respond the right way, I'm going to check this box. Now, what if I'm not getting a box checked? I might try to interject and prompt. I might prompt you to do something, or I might prompt your partner to do something like, hey, ask a question that requires them to show they can use an adjective, right? Well, if it's, I'll try to interject if something's not being shown, and that's not going to lose anyone any points. But if I'm not seeing something observed, I'm seeing something attempted, then I might try to say like, hey, your adjectives aren't matching. That way I can at least, if I get one out of you, check the with prompting, and you can get 2 points in that category. Okay. I use adjectives that match the nouns they're describing. So that's the one I was just using as an example. I use the correct endings on nouns. So if, for example, estine Tiberis fluvium, it's actually fluvius, right? It's not fluvium. If you're making mistakes like that, I might prompt you and say, hey, point out, hey, fluvius, masculine word, you pluralize it, fluvii. Okay? And that's how the rest of these will go. So the rubric looks a little different. And my prompting might preserve you're getting 2 points in that category as opposed to cannot do it. No, I may not be able to prompt everything. I may not recognize, and with two people having their conversation, I might not be able to prompt everything. So, so if I prompt it, and I still don't observe that skill being used, then I'm going to check the cannot do it box, or I might check it if I don't realize it needs prompting, just because that's a lot of things to be thinking about. And I'm also not going to be able to sit down with each person and have this conversation, or even with a pair of people. Might be able to with some. And so, what I would like you guys to do today in class, a little bit later, is to take these rubrics, and I'd like you to assess your partner. I'd like you to actually work quietly with a partner and just sort of self-assess with a partner. And if it took some prompting on your part to say like, hey, you weren't making your adjectives match the nouns that they were describing. You said this, then continue a little forward. And if after the prompting, you do see them do that, then I want you to check the with prompting, they can do it box. Okay. It's just a half sheet, whereas the rubric before was a full sheet, and it was just kind of a little bit more to keep track of a little bit. There's more places for me to point my eyes at. So this, I think, will work much better, and it'll be easy for you to do when you self-assess. Okay. And I want you to be honest, though, and you're not doing your partner any favors just by like checking the consistently box. Help them along, and this won't be the actual assessment, but this is what I'd like you to do today. That way, you get a feel for what you need to do, and so what we're going to do next is I'm going to open up the map. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the map again. We're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the reading, and then you also had Pensum Bay, which I asked you to do, and so you're going to have that collected. So first, let me give you a little practice with the map. Roma in Italia est. Roma est oppidum magnum. Brundisium quoque est oppidum magnum. Estne Tusculum oppidum? So again, I want your verbal participation. Estne Tusculum oppidum? Sic Tusculum oppidum est. Estne oppidum magnum an oppidum parvum. Tusculum est oppidum parvum. Estne Corsica oppidum? Minime. Corsica oppidum non est. Corsica insula est. Estne insula parva? Minime. Non insula parva, sed insula magna est. Corsica est insula magna. Sardinia et Sicilia quoque insulae magnae sunt. Et Melita insula parva est. Ubi est Nilus? Ubi est Nilus? Nilus in Aegyptus est. Quid est Nilus? Estne Nilus oppidum? Minime, Nilus oppidum non est. Nilus fluvius est. Estne fluvius magnus an fluvius parvus. Nilus est fluvius magnus. Ubi sunt Arabia et Syria? Ubi sunt Arabia et Syria? Arabia et Syria in Asia sunt. In Asia sunt. Sunt ne Lemnos, Lesbos, Chios, Samos, Naxos, Rhodus, sunt ne Oppida? Minime. Non sunt Oppida, sunt insulae. Insulae parve. Insulae parve sunt. Estne Britannia in Imperio Romano? In Imperio Romano? Britannia? Sic Britannia in Imperio Romano est. Because it's shaded. Sed Germania in Imperio Romano non est. Germania non est provincia Romana. Sunt ne Hispania et Gallia in Imperio Romano? Sic, in Imperio Romano sunt. All right, we're going to take a look at the reading as well. I'm going to go back and open up the book. I'd like your participation also as you chorally read together. And read together in Latin. I might just pick one or two sentences to translate. Okay? And we'll do a slow translation. Remember, a slow translation just means don't say the meaning of the word until I've pointed to the word, or in this case, until I've highlighted the word. Okay? So it's going to be slow with gaps in between. Okay? So we're going to start with Brundisium. Brundisium oppidum est. Brundisium et Tusculum oppida sunt. Sparta quoque oppidum est. Brundisium est oppidum magnum. Tusculum oppidum parvum est. Delphi quoque oppidum parvum est. We're going to do this one, slow translation. Delphi also is a small town. Okay, start with Tusculum, reading in Latin. Tusculum et Delphi non oppida magna, sed oppida parva sunt. Ubi est Sparta? Sparta est in Graecia. Sparta est oppidum Graecum. Sparta et Delphi oppida Graeca sunt. We're going to do this sentence as well. A slow translation. Sparta and Delphi are Greek towns. Of course, you see towns with the plural ending there. Tusculum non oppidum Graecum, sed oppidum Romanum est. Tusculum et Brundisium sunt oppida Romana. Sardinia insula Romana est. Creta, Rhodus, Naxos, Samos, Chios, Lesbos, Lemnos, Eubea sunt insulae Graecae. In Graecia multae insulae sunt. In Italia et in Graecia sunt multa oppida. In Gallia et in Germania multi sunt flui. Sunt ne multi flui in multa oppida in Arabia? In Arabia non multi, sed pauci flui sunt, et pauca oppida. Okay, and our last slow sentence is this one. Okay. Are there? So this word means are there. The ne part is making it a question. The sunt means are. So are there many rivers and many towns in Arabia? Okay. And so pensum B, you're going to turn into the basket. You probably did that at the beginning of class, actually. So I'll turn pensum B into the basket, but I haven't mentioned it. So if you haven't done that, please make sure pensum B gets into the basket. Another thing, make sure your names are on it, because a lot of people have similar names to other students, even if they're in other grades. Other grades are doing the same chapter of this pilot, and so especially if I get them at different times, or things get out of order in the basket, that's a big help to me. And at this point, what I'd like you to do is find a partner. If there's an odd number of students, you can have one group of 3, but just make sure that you're switching up what you're doing so that everyone is participating in the conversation. And if you are in a group of 3, have the 2 people in the conversation, and then the other person, just pick one person to fill out the rubric for. Okay, and then I'd like you to fill out the rubric kind of in the way that I showed. If you observe one of those things happening, check the observed box. If you observe it happening again, but also don't observe any mistakes in that particular area, then after a little while, check the consistent box. And that's kind of at your discretion at what point you do that, okay? Try to help them and prompt them, but then you need to make sure that you observe them doing it independently on a separate question, not on the piece that you help them with. You give them a little bit of prompting, and then you observe it at some other point. Then check the with prompting box. And then if enough time passes and you decide to call it quits and you just don't deserve it or don't observe it, then check the didn't observe box. And again, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 4 is 28. So there are 28 points on this rubric. And so you'll just add up the points. And again, if your thing looks like this, you give them the 4 points, not the 3 points. Okay? And so that's what I'd like you to do until the end of class. All right? Walete.